I will say that the rear naked choke is probably the easiest choke to do in the sense that you really don't have to have a lot of experience in order to pull it off, right? You get behind somebody, you put your arm around their neck, you squeeze as tight as you can, they're gonna go to sleep eventually. What makes this choke even worse is when you're on somebody's back with hooks in, squeezing their body while also squeezing the choke, such as this situation.
What the fuck is this? Hey, Rick, listen up. Touch shit down. Touch shit. Touch shit.
The key to get out of a situation like this is that you have to not only defend the choke itself, but you also have to work to get your hips free. So let's break this down. Now, obviously at the beginning of this video, the kid should have never turned his back to begin with. That's a big no-no when it comes to fights in general, but that is what allowed the guy to actually get the choke on, and then he pretty much just dragged him to the floor, which is now where we're at. Now, when they do get to your back and we're on the ground, right, and we fall off to the side, whatever the case is, the most important thing that you have to focus on is controlling the arms around your neck, which means that you do have to get hands-on and start grip fighting, right? Ultimately, I'm simply just trying to peel these arms and get to a position where I can protect my head and neck, such as like answering the phone here, where I can prevent him from getting these choking arms back into play. If he's locking in these chokes and I'm more focused on trying to hit him or try and land some sort of strike, they're going to put you to sleep in seconds. Again, this is not a super experienced choke to know how to do. He just has to squeeze your head off and eventually you're going to go to sleep. So getting hands on as soon as possible is going to be your key to staying conscious in this situation. We're talking about like a simple approach to getting out of the situation while dealing with the hands. If it's in this case where the hand's on top of the head, like I can pull that one down, which does expose this hand, and I can start kind of pulling and clearing these arms. Ultimately, I can then press up on the elbow a little bit as I scoop my head under it and pull the arm clear so that now my head is completely clear of the choke. I can lock down on this arm to prevent him from trying to redo the choke. And all while this is happening, I'm going to take my shoulders and work to get my shoulders flat on the ground and start kind of walking him up a little bit so that he's not in a position where he can reapply the choke by any means. Part two of this is I do have to deal with the hips. When we are talking about the hip control, right, as much as the choke is important, I do have to be able to clear or at least manage the hips to some extent, but it ultimately will depend on how this person has it locked. In this situation, they just kind of look like they had half-ass hooks in, right? In that case, I really only need to focus on the bottom leg. Get that knee up, clear their leg off, and I need to immediately get my hip up and over. I don't care about the other leg. I can literally like hop my ass up and get it down onto the ground as quickly as possible. Again, now I'm completely flat. However, this is now where the race comes in, right? Because I know if this guy has any idea what he's doing, he's going to look to come up on top right away, which I don't want. So the moment I clear my hips and the choke, I want to turn into them right away. Even if I end up in some form of like half guard or full guard, it doesn't matter. I'm on top. I can literally just start kind of going ground and pound, and ultimately I can work back up to my feet. May not be the best position here for me to be in, but it's definitely better than being on the ground with somebody on my back. So altogether, we have to understand that you are doing two things at once. As I'm hand fighting and constantly looking to peel and protect the neck, looking possibly to kind of get his arms up and over my head, I'm also simultaneously attacking the legs at the same time, which means I may be in a situation, go ahead, lock it back up. I may be in a situation where I'm literally just kind of pulling down with one arm where, okay, I can hold my breath here for a bit. I'm going to use my other hand and constantly just try and clear this leg as he tries to keep it. And then again, once I get here, like I'm not really in a position that he can choke me effectively. He may still try and squeeze, which if that's the case, again, I can turn into him, come right back up, and again, we go back for the ground and pound. So understand that there are a lot of things that you can do from those positions if you have experience on the ground. You can slip in chokes, you can slip in arm bars, like there are ways that you can apply damage. Striking is always going to be an option if you're in a position to where maybe you're off on the side a little bit. Yeah, sure, I can throw in some elbows to the gut, maybe an elbow to the face, but again, I have to get my hips off first. So again, when you end up in that situation, number one, I have to get hands-on, start grip fighting the grips right away. Number two, I have to simultaneously fight to get my hips free. Ultimately, once you get one or both of those things done, start turning and coming back up into the person, because again, we want to get on top and stay on top and remain in a dominant position for the remainder of the fight. Stay safe.